I do, folks, just waiting for the live feed to start up on the other computer so I know that we're on properly, and then I'll give the sound a quick check. Right, so if you're logged in on YouTube, if you want to type some messages, I'm just going to put a quick little tester message just to see what comes up on OBS, and it works. I've got 4 people watching now. I'm just going to turn the laptop volume down so that I can't hear myself as well. Right, welcome to the new channel then, folks. I'm Jon Dow, and as you can see, I've started to improve on things. Some of you were watching the video that I did for an hour and a half earlier on where I was setting up the channel. Quick little background, I'm going to get a better background. The other side of this is green and I wanted it to be big enough, but this I've just bought a webcam that's got quite a wide angled lens, so it's not filling it all in, but never mind. Right, so let's crack on with a little bit of a chit chat then, shall we, with all the shenanigans that are going on. Okay, right, I'm just getting used to using OBS, what is it, Streamlabs OBS for the first time as well, so you have to bear with me. I'm going to end up getting a better microphone, that's on order, better lighting as well, so that I can have a bit more balance, because it's a bit hot over this side compared to the other side, so that'll all happen. And I hope you're all sporting a lovely lockdown hairdo as well. Right, who we've got watching? We've got 4 viewers so far. 4 people watching. I'm sure it'll grow soon anyway. Right, what I wanted to actually talk about tonight is, since this lockdown started happening, I've been going on about, let me just get rid of me on this screen at the side actually, because I can see myself, and I'm about 30 seconds behind as well. I'm going to make it small so that I can just keep a small eye on myself to make sure that the broadcast is still going. Right, there we go. Right, so yeah, since this lockdown malarkey started, the first thing I thought to myself was, this is going to come down the route of QR code health passports. And I had a lot of people laugh at me about it, and people mocked, called you the, what was it, tinfoil hatter, and what else did they call you, conspiracy theorist, all those sorts of things that everybody knows to say from the mainstream media, because we're all conditioned to say things from the mainstream media. Right, well, the closer we're getting to this apocalypse, the more it's getting to be true, what's happening. Now I'm going to go over to a different screen now so that we can do a bit of Googling together. And I need to go and get a link to a video which I want everybody to see. I'm going to cover a little bit of old ground first. Now this video is from a corporation called VST Enterprises, which is a British firm, and then I want to go and let's just make sure that we're going to edit the right browser. So we're going to edit browser 1, and I need to put the URL in so that we can all see what's happening. And then I'm going to turn the sound on. I need to interact with this as well. Right, once I can get this to work properly, why won't it let me interact? Wonderful start to the show. Hang on a second, guys. I need to go to browser 1, unlock sources. Ah, there we go, interact. Right, let me just oh, it's not doing what I want to do. Okay, what we'll do then is I'll go back to browser number 1, and I shall copy that URL from there, and I'll go to done, and then I'll go to interact, and we'll be able to go to, oh there we go, it's come up properly. Right, so we'll start this again then. Let me just put a bit of sound on the video so that we can hear what's going on as well. Let's put the sound really quiet in the background. Right, have a look at this video, guys. This is from VST Enterprises, and this came out in July, because all these little businesses have started investing millions of pounds into research and development. Let me just turn down the volume on YouTube a little bit, there we go, because it's only background music. So as you can see, they're taking samples. I mean, in this example they're showing they're taking a blood sample, they're taking samples from people's saliva and whatever else, and they're going to run it through a machine that's going to verify whether somebody is COVID positive or COVID negative. Let's keep watching this. And the end result's going to be something which we've been on about since the very beginning, which is prohibited access to buildings. And you'll see it come up in a second. In fact, if I just forward it through. No, in fact, I'm going to let it run. So this chap's been and had his test. He's had his health passport updated on this national database. He's rung the doorbell at what I think is his dentist. And then somebody comes to the door. They've got this 2 metre safe distance. And now they're going to QR to QR. It's going to scan his phone. It's going to see the picture, pull it up. And you see how it was green? You see how that came up green with the tick on his on his phone screen? That means that he's allowed to go into his dentist. And if he hadn't have been green, then he wouldn't have been allowed to go in. Now, just to cover a bit of old ground, when I started going on about health passports and QR codes and it all being tied to a national database of whether you've had your vaccines, whether you've not had your vaccines, whether you've had your tests, whether you've not had your tests, people took the mick. They all started laughing at me. Well, what's actually happening is we're ending up with a situation where we've got a traffic light system. Hang on, what's this going on here with my photos? Let me just stop this thing with the photos, because that was from a demo thing earlier on. Photo slideshow, there we go. We don't need that. We just need me and the window. Right, teething problems, first broadcast. So people started arguing with me that, yeah, well, John, you put your whole life online. You've got your name, your address, your phone number, you've got your face, what you're doing, where you're going, blah, blah, blah. So what difference does it make whether we're going to end up with passports or QR codes or whatever else according to all this coronavirus stuff? Well, the point is that none of the things like carrying a mobile phone around, ANPR registration plate check-in. What was that noise then? Something happened. Oh, somebody just subscribed. So we've got a subscribe sound as well. Wicked, thanks very much. So, anyway, I've just lost my train of thought. So we've got, it doesn't matter whether I carry my phone in my pocket, pay with a credit card, walk about town centre with CCTV, have ANPR, car registration plate recognition, get tracked off GPS. None of those things matter, because we already have them. We've had them for years, but the point is that none of the things that track us around the place stop us from going about our normal everyday life. However, since this coronavirus lockdown started earlier in the year, the first thing that they've started conditioning people with are QR codes at the entrances to shops and eventually at the entrances to everywhere. And the government have put a lot of pressure on businesses to make sure that they enforce these QR codes. And when you walk into a shop, they're desperate to get people to use their phone and beep to scan and tell the database, the system, where somebody is and when. And obviously what we all seem to believe is that the point of it is that they want to tie the proximity of people together, and if they're close to each other for 15 minutes, then it means that they're going to have had the chance to transmit COVID. Well, this is the thing. Now, if I go on to another banner, let me just close down, got rid of me, browser 1 we'll get rid of, browser 2, let's pull up a fresh Google and then I can go to interact. Right, let's have a look at this then. Let's just fill screen for a second. Just big this up a bit. Right, I want you to have a look at this. If we go to, God, what's all this stuff? God knows actually. Oh, they're things I've been using. There's some of the other channel bits that I'm going to be set up on soon. Right, if we type behavioural insight wristband. Right. Oh, I don't know why this is coming out dark. I do apologise. I'm trying to get it to change how it looks actually. It's probably going to come up black on here as well. I think this is because of the skin that's being used. Well, if you Google behavioural insight wristband, you'll actually pull up a load of databases and a load of websites that are all in the news. So we've got independent.co.uk. People who test COVID negative should wear wristbands, says... Who says? Let's have a look. Is it going to expand that? No, let's go into the page. Say experts, probably. And what they want to do is they want everybody to go and get tested, and then if you test negative, they want to give you a wristband. And I'm thinking that this is going to be the sort of introduction to how this is all going to work. It's going to start off with handwritten paper wristbands or plastic ones like you get when you go to a theme park or if you have a stay in hospital, and it'll have COVID negative and a from date and a to date and an ID code of some description. So that will then give you however long to swan around and go shopping and go everywhere that you want, and you're going to have to show this as a point of access, which isn't going to be very good. Let's just come off this web page thing for a second so that I'm on the screen a bit better. There we go. So you've got your wristband and you're going about your life, and then all of a sudden you'll go to walk into somewhere, and out of nowhere you've become a risk, and your access is now at the discretion of the shopkeeper, or even worse, your own employer. Now the traffic light system that I think is going to come in, and a lot of other people think is going to come in, is going to basically be like this. If you've been a good little slave and you've had your tests and you've had your vaccines, you're going to get a green screen. When you beep to access somewhere, it's all going to come up nice and green, so anybody looking from a distance can also see it. They've already got this in China in certain areas where they're doing like a social credit system, and if you've not seen the episode of Black Mirror called Nosedive, then you want to go and watch that. So green is good. Green means you can go everywhere that you want and you've had your vaccines, etc. Amber, the next traffic light, might mean things like you're coming up to the end of your vaccine period, you're coming up to the end of your testing period, you might have a minor infraction against you for having an argument with a shopkeeper about whether or not you're exempt from wearing masks, and then once you've beeped in, they'll be able to go, he was naughty, and type it on the thing. Anything can happen, you know, I'm just speculating on this. So that's your amber stage. You might be coming up to the end of your vaccine period and then it becomes discretionary. You might be coming up to the end of your vaccine period and you want to go on holiday for a week. Does your vaccine period amber alarm or alert cover enough time to get back? These are the things. Or you might have a red one. You've been a naughty little slave. You've not had your vaccines, you've not had... oh, we've got some comments coming on, I'll have a look at them in a second. You've not had your vaccine, you've not had your testing, you've kicked off with shopkeepers about face masks or whatever the thing is, and now your wristband flags up as red, or your QR code on your phone screen when you beep to walk into a shop flags up as red, and then you're not allowed to go in. Now just imagine this for a moment, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about me and my profession, and then my customers, and then also everybody. Right, I'm a wedding photographer and I work for myself. I have done since 1997. I've photographed something like 1,560 odd weddings over the last 23 years, and I've never missed a wedding, I've never let a customer down, I've never been sick to the point where I've not been able to photograph anybody's wedding. I've never not turned up, in other words. So I have 100% reliability when it comes to attendance. Now, just imagine if we have to have this mandatory testing system for starters. Forget the vaccines for a moment, let's have a look at the testing. The facts that we know, the test is a PCR test which the guy who created it, called Carrie Mullins or Mullis, he's on video explaining that the PCR test is not supposed to be used to diagnose a coronavirus illness, not just SARS-CoV-2 but any of them. It's supposed to be used for other types of things, but it's not supposed to be used for diagnosis, and the reason is because it's got a very high level of what's the word I'm looking for? Inaccuracy. It's a very high inaccuracy level, which even Dominic Raab and Matt Hancock have said on the telly that it's got a 7% accuracy, which means it's got a 93%, my math is terrible tonight, a 93% inaccuracy level. So you're just thinking, well, what the hell? You know, it's bad enough having a 90% accurate with a 10% chance of it being wrong, but a 93% chance of it being wrong. So let's set the scene. We're a bit into the future, who knows, 3 months, 6 months from now, and it's busy wedding photo season for me, and there's one of me. I'm a sole trader and I work on my own. So I go to a wedding and I walk up to the hotel and I beep my access thingamajig and it flags up red, because at some point somewhere I've stood in a queue with somebody, or I've interacted with somebody, or there's a fault in the system, and now I'm not allowed to go into that hotel. I'm not allowed to go into that church. I'm not allowed to photograph that couple's wedding, right? What do I do then? Because now I've got a red flag against me. I'll have some sort of warning that will be coming up on my phone screen saying, you've got to go home and self-isolate for 14 days. So what does that mean? I'm supposed to go home and phone up. Just imagine if it's in the middle of the summer and I've got a wedding every day of the week for weeks. Am I supposed to sit there phoning up all these customers and saying, I'm sorry, but I've been banned from leaving the house for a fortnight. Here's your money back, for like 14, 15 customers, letting everybody down at the last minute? Right? That can't work. That's going to collapse people's businesses. Even if somebody's got, say, a photography company that's got 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 staff members, well, they can no longer work together in the proximity of each other because they run the risk of social, COVID cross-contamination. So they've got to work apart. But what about when they go and work as a team at a wedding? You know, sometimes if you've got big weddings, you've got 4 photographers there sometimes. So a couple might be doing stills, a couple might be doing video, one will be looking after the guys, one will be looking after the girls. Well, I'm sorry, but they're all a collaboration of people. They're a collective, and they've obviously been working and mingling together, so it's automatically going to mean that they're exempt. That they're all contaminated, so they're all going to have to go into self-isolation for a fortnight. So that's one massive problem that stands out straight away, is it's now removed the reliability of a person who, I mean, I've never let anybody down, like I said earlier on. I've done my back in a couple of times and I've gone and photographed weddings. I fractured my arm years ago and I carried on photographing weddings. Nothing stops me, otherwise, you know, I'd have to be dead or kidnapped, is what I joke with my customers about, whether or not, you know, the only reason that I wouldn't be there, sort of thing. But now we've got all this on top of our heads. Let's have a look at it from the bride and groom's perspective. So they've spent a year or 2 planning their wedding, spending a fortune on all these different suppliers and signing all these different contracts, and then within a 14-day proximity of their wedding day, they get a red flag because they went out to shop and somebody somewhere might have had something sometime. That's how vague it all is. So there's a 7% chance that you might be a risk and a 93% chance that you're not a risk. So now that bride and groom obviously live together, obviously sleep in the same bed, which means that they're going to be collectively frowned upon by the system, and very well may end up having red flags against them, and then it's demanded of them to have a 14-day curfew or quarantine at home. So that means that they can't even go to their own wedding. So everything just gets spoilt, everything gets cancelled, all the money's lost, they can't do it. And then if we have a look at everybody else, what about when you want to go on holiday? You book your holiday, you book your flights, you pay for it, and then all of a sudden, within a fortnight of your holiday, you end up with some red flag because somebody at work spoke to someone down the post office who might have had it. and now you've got this red flag because you've Bluetoothed or proximitied in the vicinity of people for just long enough for you to possibly become a risk factor to something that's a tiny weeny little problem in society. And I'm not going to discount anybody that has died from COVID or the flu, because they have been converting the flu figures. I mean, look at week 12. If you go and have a look at weekly graphs from the NHS and from the ONS database, and if you look at America, the CDC, and what you'll find, if you have a look at the weekly flu figures for the last 12 months, you'll get to week 12 in 2020, which is the end of March, and all of a sudden they're just flatlined to 0, and then it's just 0 all the way along the screen on the graph. But when you look at the COVID statistics, they've all skyrocketed. So what does that tell you? Because that tells me that they've converted flu into COVID so that they can push this agenda. That's what that tells me, and it's not very difficult for it to be understood by anybody else. So we've got the unreliability of everybody in a professional sense, forevermore amen, right? Everybody's walking around on eggshells in case they go near some unknown person that might have something someday that you might get, that a test with a 93% accuracy is going to tell you yay or nay as to whether you're then imprisoned for a fortnight or whether you've got your freedom for a fortnight. And then there's the vaccine. I've heard on the grapevine off certain mainstream media channels that they're going to be looking at possibly having 2 injections every 3 months, probably. Now don't quote me on this, but that's a worst case scenario. And they're trying to make out that once you've had the vaccine, there's a chance that you're going to be guaranteed freedom for 3 months or 6 months or however long the interval is. You know, that's not even been set up yet. We don't know. I mean, who has ever had a flu vaccine more than once a year at the very most? And I mean, if you ask me, the flu vaccine's dangerous anyway. But the thing is when you have a vaccine, you are introduced to a tiny sample of the illness that it's supposed to vaccinate you against. And there's a lot of people that get sick from having a vaccine. I've had flu jabs before because I'm asthmatic. It's mild asthma. But the point is when I've had the flu jab, I feel awful for a few days afterwards, and that's probably the effects of the injection. So what's going to happen if you have the COVID vaccine, right, and then it's assumed that you've had a green card for 3 months or however long it is on your electric national database QR code or wristband with a barcode on it or a QR printed on it or whatever, but then you start feeling ill and becoming symptomatic, and now they've made everybody in society a germaphobe. What's going to happen then? Because even though you've had your vaccine and now you've fallen slightly ill because of the vaccine, no one's going to trust you enough to want to be around you because they're all paranoid that they're going to get it. But not only are they going to be paranoid that they're going to get the illness, they're also going to be paranoid about getting the illness because it's going to threaten their freedom. Are you seeing how big this is becoming a problem now? You know, I mean, don't take my word for it. Let's have a look online again. I do apologise that the Google colours are back to front because it's making it difficult to see. But I will have a go at looking at that. Right, if we go back to the browser, I know you can't really see this, so... Oh dear, I don't know how to... If anybody knows how to use Streamlabs OBS and change this back to the normal colour, I'm going to go to normal browser for a second so I can see it myself. Right. Do this along with me if you like. Go to Google and type in what were we looking at earlier on? Behavioural Insights Team. Behavioural Insights wristband. The Independent, the Daily Mail, RT on Twitter, MSN, Bloomberg, The Mirror. Royals must lead mass testing push with wristbands for negative COVID people. Number 10, nudge unit. This is the Daily Mirror. Let me come back on the screen for a second, and I'm just going to split it up so that... Oh crap, I've just dragged myself off the screen. Let me move me across there so that I can see what the crack is. Here we go, I'll split my own screen up, that's better. Right, top of the Google, behavioural insights wristband search. Independent. People who test COVID negative should wear wristbands, say whoever, specialists probably. Daily Mail. Number 10, nudge unit suggests paper wristbands for COVID negative people. RT, those with negative for hashtag COVID could have wristband, say the behavioural insights team. MSN, people who test COVID negative. These are all 3 days old, by the way. It says 3 days ago, all the way down the screen. RT on Twitter, those who test negative. MSN, people who test COVID negative should wear paper wristbands. So they're going to start off with paper wristbands. Now, to make things durable, they'll probably make them into those plasticky paper wristbands like you have when you go to hospital. COVID-free wristbands, certificates could encourage testing. Royals must lead testing push. Brits should wear wristbands to say they're correct. Well, you know, you're starting to get the point now, aren't you? You know, we're all basically heading for, I don't know, Blade Runner / Gattaca / 1984. Oh, yep, who was that? Hang on 1 second. I thought I'd put the sound down on the phone. Oh, it's me fiancée. Oh, she's not watching. She's gone shopping. Oh, I can swear. Let's just reply to her. Okay, love. She's gone shopping. There we go. Let's just turn the sound off on the phone. So, are you seeing what sort of problem we've got now? We're going to be making everybody's lives in purgatory on the whim. What is it? The beck and call of an illness that's only affecting a very tiny number of people. There's another thing, actually. Let's have a look at the graph. Let's go and have a look, and we're going to go back to here. I know it's back to front. I'm going to try and figure out why the browsers aren't working properly. So if we get rid of that one for a second, and we'll get rid of that one, and we'll go to browser number 3. What's this? I haven't even put this here. What's that say? SDFG. I think this is something that's carried on running after I've closed something. I can't even make out what it is. Let me just, I want to know what that is actually, because I've broadcast it. Right, do I need to unlock it, which is done, and then I need to interact with it. I can't read what it says because the screen... Doyek, SDFG YouTube, it must just be a tune. Right, so anyway, that's what it is. I just put jibber jabber I just went meh on the keyboard and it typed it in. Right, so what was I going to do? I've lost my train of thought. Sorry guys, this is what happens when it's live streaming. Remind me. I'll remember in a second. Let me come back to there. What was I talking about? Come on, John. No, it's gone. This is what happens when it's live stream and you get distractions, interaction. That was it, the COVID results. Right, UK COVID. There we go. Let's have a look at the actual graph. Why does it keep going negative? Oh, God's sake. Well, here we go. Look, see. New cases. This is the thing, right? Cases. Cases does not mean illness. Cases means somebody's tested positive using a PCR test with a 93% inaccuracy. Yeah, it is coming out negative. I'm looking at the separate screen. With a 98% inaccuracy and a 7% accuracy. Somebody has tested positive. Now, I've got a friend who I can't name because they run 3 clinics around the country, and inside each of those buildings are collections of different medical types of people, because it keeps the cost on rent down on a big building, right? Like a department store for medical things. And what they've witnessed is, in one of these 3 buildings, they've witnessed PCR tests being done, and they've seen these lab technicians take one person's saliva sample and run it through the same PCR test 40 to 60 times, so that they amplify and amplify and amplify that one little sample until you're down to one tiny little RNA strand that says, oh, positive, right? That's what's been happening. And so they're deliberately cooking these figures up. Now, if we have a look at new cases, so where are we? We've got the beginning of September, it started ramping up and up. Well, that was when they started mass testing. So the testing figures have gone up and up and up. Let's have a look at that compared to deaths. So the death rate has started going up, but they've combined the flu. So if we have a look at, say, where is it, about here kind of thing, there's the where it starts to get up in the graph. I don't know whether you can see the mouse, but if you go between the 19th of September and the 6th of November, where the graph starts to skyrocket, if we find about the 8th of October, there we go, 77. Since the 8th of October, the government is officially combining flu and COVID, illness, cases, symptoms, deaths, the lot. They are no longer differentiating between COVID symptoms and illnesses and deaths and flu deaths and illnesses. They've said so on the government website. It was all in the newspapers. Everybody kicked off about it a few weeks ago when it happened. And there's no correlation, because if you look at the... Let me just enlarge this screen a bit so I can see it a bit better. You won't see the effect of me enlarging it, but I will. Right. This deaths graph goes up to a resolution of 1500, and when you go back to cases, the graph goes up to 40,000. So if the deaths graph was in the same resolution as the cases graph, this would be this tiny little line of little bumps just along the bottom, and it wouldn't look anywhere near as dramatic as it does. There is no correlation between the two. You know, the cases have gone through the roof because they're forcing employers to force employees to go get tested. Care home staff are being tested really quite often. They're having somebody come round with a van, testing everybody, and then sending off, and 2 days later the results come back. So they're basically just using tests, cases as a reason to start scaring everybody again, which everybody knows. Now, what was the next thing I wanted to talk about? Let me just go and have a look on I just need to get rid of the interact on that window. Let's just come back to me for a second so that we've got no interneting things going off in the background. So we've had a look at the health passport video. Here's one for you. Let's copy this and I'll open this up on one of my windows. So if we go to which one's active, browser number 3, let's go into here and we'll change this to this YouTube video. Now the date on this YouTube video is June the 18th 2019, and what you're looking at here, just make sure you can probably hear it a bit better than I can in the background. Let me just see what the sound levels are like. Does it sound a bit distorted, don't it? Let me just turn my mic audio down a little bit. Yeah, there we go, that's probably a little bit better. It'll take a bit of time to come through. Right, let me just get to interact on this because I've just gone off on a tangent for a second. It's not going to let me interact properly. It's trying to make me interact with something that's old. I'll tell you what, let's type it in on here and I'll start it again. Health passport, mission impossible. In fact, I don't need to. Right, without jibber-jabbering too much, this video was way before COVID came onto the scene, and this is by HSE Ireland, so for the Republic of Ireland. And what they've done is they've done this health passports advert to promote. Let me just turn the sound of me down again on the side here, there we go. They did this video way before COVID started, and they're selling it on the pretense that it's the same sort of thing as where, if say you've got epilepsy, or if you're allergic to penicillin or something like that, you have one of these necklaces with the snake round the sword symbol on it, and it opens up like a little locket, and inside there's a bit of paper, and they have a look and it says, I've got epilepsy, or I've got an allergy to some type of medication, something that's critical if paramedics need to know something about you straight away. Or you have it on a wristband, right? I used to have one when I was a kid because I was allergic to something, and if anything ever happened, then they'd need to make sure that I didn't have that type of medication. Now, that's how they've sold this Island HSE video over to people, and they've done it by making this lad into a superhero. But the real thing is with this health passport is that it's not the same thing. That's how they've been selling it to people. That's how they've been selling the idea and starting to feed it into people's minds. That what's going to end up coming is these health passports. And I'm going to keep repeating about it because people keep on taking the piss about it. But if we don't do something about it, we're going to lose our freedoms. Let me just get rid of this browser that's going on, because it's playing up. Actually, it's not as easy as it's meant to be. Let me just it's just about to stop. Hopefully it won't carry on going. In fact, I'm just going to go to that one, and I'm just going to put Google back in because it's going to go on to a new thing. There we go. Let's just get rid of that for a sec. Guys, if we don't do something about this, we're going to end up losing all our freedoms, because it's not just going to be access to your own workplace, it's not going to be access to shops and cinemas and games and all these other things that they're doing this carrot and stick process with, because they're teasing people. If you want to be able to go back to your favourite football match or see your favourite band live, then you'll do this. That's how they're selling it to everybody. But along with that, we're going to lose all the freedoms where we can just tell the police to sod off if they come up to us, start asking questions and pressurising against us, because they're going to be wanting to see papers, please. Aren't they? They're going to be able to do whatever they bloody well like to anybody, be it stopping and searching them, or demanding documentation, demanding to see your COVID thing. And the other thing is that eventually the COVID thing, the wristband or the QR code on your phone screen, is going to be ending up getting tied to more and more and more of your personal data as they start integrating it. They've already integrated your medical records from your GP. They've already integrated everything about you from a car and house insurance and product insurance perspective, because when you go to buy insurance, all the insurance companies can see everything about you from the perspective of other insurance companies. Because, I mean, just take somebody that likes to claim on, oh, I've dropped my hi-fi down the stairs, I need a new one. And they keep doing that with all their electrical goods because they want to keep on getting free replacement new tech. And then their insurance company drops them because of the reliability, and then they go to a different insurance firm and they say, no, I've never made any claims, and the new insurance firm can see it because they can look at it on a database and see for themselves. Now, there was another perspective to this as well. Now, let me brain just tick because it's been a long day and it's 7:20. That was it. Now, just think here's what I was going to say. We've seen the army going into schools in Liverpool, and eventually they're going to be going everywhere else, because it started off as 2,000 people in Liverpool, and then it started. Oh, hang on a sec. I'll come through the. I'm looking at the comments window like you're there. I'll come to the comments in a second, guys. So we've had what was I saying? We've had the army going into schools in Liverpool, and it started off as 2,000 soldiers, and we've all seen that video. If you haven't seen that video, let's have a look and see if it is there. Liverpool. Oh, hang on, I need to interact with this window again. Right. Liverpool army school COVID search. Oh, stop going dark. Where's my videos thing? It's going to be under there, isn't it? More videos. Let me just big it up a bit. You probably see it already, guys, because you've got it on full screen, but I've had to do it multi-screen. I think this is the video here, actually. Moment megaphone wielding protesters go... Oh, here you go, see. The moment megaphone wielding protesters drive around Liverpool schools shouting at pupils. You see how the media like to play it? This is the video, actually. It's probably not going to have it on there, but basically this car full of people drive past this Liverpool school, and this guy here is the headmaster in the orange, and this woman here with the phone, she's one of the concerned citizens that's going round, and they've got a little megaphone in the car, and they're telling all the kids not to get tested because the schools gave letters to the kids on Friday afternoon to take home to the parents for them to authorise on Monday to be tested. And it said, apparently, you need to check this, but as far as I remember, it said we can basically nab the kids into quarantine if they test positive, is what I took from it. And I don't know whether that means sending them home or whether that means keeping them somewhere, or what, you know, what's going to end up happening in the future. And it's got to make you think, well, the kids are the least affected group of people to suffer or die from COVID, and this is to me this looks like a DNA collection project, because they're taking saliva samples from pupils, they're recording who they are from and sending them away for supposed testing. Now this sounds a bit far-fetched, but really it's pretty simple. When these kids grow into adults in the next sort of 10, 15, 20 years time, and they want to go and get mortgages and loans to buy things, what's going to stop the bank or the lender, or even the insurance company if they go after insurances, what's going to stop them looking at this database of kids' saliva samples and all this logged DNA that they took years ago, and looking at this and saying, oh well, I'm sorry Mr. Smith, but it says here that your family die young from cancer or some other hereditary disease that goes through your family, and we can see it in your defunct or defective DNA, so unfortunately sir, we're not going to give you this loan or mortgage because we think you're going to die young. Or they'll say, yes sir, you can have this mortgage or this loan or whatever, but we're not going to give you insurance that's going to cover A, B, C, D, and they'll just start listing off all these potential high risk future illnesses that people might get just because their parents and or grandparents got it. So that's what I think's going on with that. I think it's a DNA harvesting and collecting and creating a database, because all us adults, we've already had loans and credit and mortgages, and we're all spent up and whatnot, and this is to capture the kids. So I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, you know, am I wrong in thinking that? Are my suspicions justified, you know? Oh, hang on, I'm going the wrong way. Oh, that's back to front as well. Let me just draw that back up to the top. Oh God, what's going on with this? Oh, there we go. But yeah, you've only got to look at stuff like this. Moment megaphone wielding protesters drive around Liverpool schools shouting at pupils not to get swabbed for COVID, or they will be locked down for Christmas. Well, who knows, you know. Right, let's have a look at some of these comments that we've had coming through then. Oh, we've got some new subscribers. Actually, let's have a look then. So we've got 10 people watching at the minute, and let's big this screen up over here. 10 people watching. Got some thumbs up, yay. 5 people like the video. And now, right, let's go down these comments then. Mr. SamCab21, evening all. Goody, are you Goody from Kingsbury School? This is just the beginning. They can't force the vaccine, so they will bring in restrictions. Yeah, they're going to do that. They're going to say, like, if you have a look at what New Zealand's Prime Minister's said, will incentivise people to have the tests and the vaccines, because if they don't have it, then we'll remove freedoms, and then they'll want to have it, is what she said. And I know, I think a few months ago she was on about that with people who travelled into New Zealand, but more recently it's become suspect, highly suspicious, that it's going to be for everybody. Video Mania 666. That's like James May on Top Gear saying, "Oh no, it's the 50" instead of the 50. Video Mania 666. Just wait until someone sabotages the system. If you had a vaccine, it shows red. Well, yeah, because the vaccine can make you ill. Stephen Brown. Talking of Black Mirror, I hear they cancelled another series because the scripts got too close to real life. Did they? Shall I butchers? Let's go to the Google. Right, stop interacting with that. I will get used to OBS. So we need to do a google.co.uk or google.com, and then stick that over the top of there, and then I'll just get rid of that other one in the background, and then I need to interact with this. Right, let's just fill screen this for a second then and see what we've got. What's going on with this? Right, let's try again, shall we? Interact with number 1, go, browse, interact, and it should be Google. Right, let's have a look. And it's not working properly. Okay, let's do it and I'll talk about it then. Let's go to a fresh Google. Right, Black Mirror cancelled. As of November the 14th 2020, Black Mirror has not been cancelled or renewed for a 6th season, so it's in purgatory, isn't it? Is Black Mirror cancelled? What we know about the fate of the show. Let's have a look and see what Netflix Life's saying. Fans of dystopian drama and... Oh, get away. Why is it that newspaper and mainstream media web pages are full of bloatware? You can't get something to just load without all this other stuff loading around it and everything's jumping around on the screen. Right, fans of dystopian drama and interesting sci-fi concepts have loved British anthology series Black Mirror ever since it premiered in 2011. The show initially premiered on Channel 4, a British television network, until Netflix bought the programme in 2015. There has been a total of 5 seasons to date. There's a few I ain't watched yet, actually. I got stuck at the episode where it was interactive and you had to click to choose the story, because a lot of people were saying it was taking them 10 hours to get through, and I was like, oh, I ain't got time for that. But I did watch one recently, and it was the one with Miley Cyrus and the little robot version of her idol or whatever it was. Brilliant episode that was. Fans of the show will know that every single episode of Black Mirror is a wild ride from start to finish. Is it season 6 happening? As reported by Radio Times, Black Mirror has not been officially renewed for a 6th season. However, considering how popular it is, I doubt there's a cause for concern. Here's what the creator, Charlie Brooker, has said to season 6. I've been busy doing things. I don't know what I can say about what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. At the moment, I don't know what stomach there would be for stories about societies falling apart, so I'm not working away on one of those. I'm sort of keen to revisit my comic skill set, so I've been writing scripts aimed at making myself laugh. That's fair enough. Let's come back to where I can see what the crack is. Yeah, that's fair enough. You know, Charlie Brooker's got a lot of stuff going, you know, and he's brilliant. Newswipe, that was funny, that was. So yeah, Black Mirror, I've got a bit of catching up to do on those, but Nosedive, that's a good episode to watch. Who we got here then? Oh, Stephen Brown is a wedding videographer. The competition. And his first delayed wedding is 22. Will I be allowed to film, I wonder? Scoody says that Stephen Brown, forget Black Mirror UK has already planned this exercise Cygnus. Exercise Cygnus? Is that the name of a thing? 4 years ago. Right, we need to wake up the sheep. Yeah, we do need to wake up the sheep. I know it's not nice to call people that don't believe or haven't researched sheeple, but it's getting to the point now where you got to draw a line between, you know, are you going to be on the right side of history or you're not going to be on the right side of history. PAJ Guitar. John, have you ever seen how bad Section 12 of the Mental Health Act is in Ireland? Medics can order police to detain people, and police have to do so. How long before it's used against anyone out of line? Yeah, well, here's another thing. I'll tell you what, let's go and see if I can get one of these browser windows to work properly. So I'm going to make sure that we're on the correct one. I'm going to go to, I'll tell you what we could do, youtube.com. Right, so it's working, and now I need to interact with it. There's that. You see the second from the top there. What is it? Top line, second one in. Marston Bailiff. You see how it looks like I'm holding a knife that he's swiping. That's just a piece of paper. But yeah, I did pick that as the thumbnail because it looked pretty cool. Right, what were we looking for? What was I was going to look for then? Right, in fact I didn't need to look at YouTube for it in the end. People who I've spoken to when I've gone round doing my job, something that's always come to light for me is that people being put into elderly care homes, there's a lot of it going on where it's going on against the will and wishes of the grown-up kids. Okay, and we've seen that video the other day where the police went and arrested the 70-odd-year-old woman who went and got her 94-year-old mum out of a care home and was trying to get her home because they ain't seen her for months, and she hasn't seen anybody for months, and she hasn't got long left because she's 94. And the police arrested her, and then they took the old woman back. Now, what it actually looked like was the family overlooked filling in the paperwork that gave the family power of attorney over the well-being and whatever of the old woman. So because that was overlooked by the family, it fell into the hands of the state or into the hands of the care home. So if they'd have actually kept power of attorney themselves, then would the police ever have been involved? That's the question. And I think that they wouldn't have done, because what I think is when the old person has given power of attorney to the state, I think that their wealth estate, the house they've paid for over their life and all their savings and assets, get portfolioised, and it's worth more money when they securitise the paperwork like they do with everything. So if this old woman's in a care home and the power of attorney belongs to the state, that means that the state dictate what happens to her, and effectively now all the old people that are in care homes where the family have overlooked the power of attorney bit of paper, now it seems that they've got no control over their family members and they can't get them out and can't go to see them. And I think that if the family did get the power of attorney, then the paperwork tied to the old woman's stay in the care home isn't worth as much in terms of them flogging it to the likes of stock markets and speculators and portfolios and all the rest of it. Because when people get forced into care homes, and I've got this on good authority from a lot of people I've spoken to whose parents have been put into care homes, is that, how can I say this, the wealth estate of the person who's put in the care home gets a commercial lien slapped against it. So that means that the family don't have to pay for this person to stay at the care home, and it's usually somewhere between 800 quid to £1,500 a week for them to stay. But the moment that that person dies, then the wealth estate of the person who was in the care home goes into probate before the kids can get their inheritance. And of course along comes the care home company or the insurance company or whoever it was that's paid for them to stay there, and they swipe the lot to pay the bill for the care home stay, which I think is disgusting. And that's why there's been talk about people making sure that you put your houses into trusts, sell the house to the kids for £1, you know, get things off your legal name so that they're not tied to you, so that when this sort of crap happens there's nothing for them to come and steal. Oh, OBS Studio colour correction tutorial on, oh, is it blue? Yeah, I'll get to colour correction. This, I mean, I've got new lighting coming actually. I'll show you that because I've got a thing on Amazon I can show you with that. Amazon, I ordered these snazzy little lights. My orders, where are they? And it'll be here on Tuesday. This is what I've ordered, because I do need to sizes of, I haven't got much space on my desk, you know, so that's a premium basically. Go back to browser one, we didn't need what we were on there. Let's whack this on here then and we'll go to there. There we go, this is what I've ordered. It's got a clamp, let me just interact. Right, here we go. So yeah, there's a clamp that clamps to the back of the desk so I can have it behind my monitor, and then basically I can just stretch them out so that they're either side, and it's got a phone thing on it as well. There you go, there's how it sits. But you can see what it is. They're coming in the next couple of days so I can get better lighting, and the brighter things are, I think these have got colour brightness on them as well. I mean, I'm a photographer and a videographer, I know all about this sort of stuff anyway, like, but I'm just improving things one step at a time. And the webcam, just in case anybody's wondering, we weren't, John, is a OneView 1080p webcam and microphone for a great £22. And let's just go back onto here and I'll stick it in on this one. There we go, this is the one. And I watched a load of videos on it the other day, and this one is quite close in quality to the Logitech 920 webcam, which costs about 160 to 200 quid. So I thought, well, that'd be a good one to go with. And then the other things that I've ordered, because I know the sound's not very good at the moment because it's just coming out of the webcam's microphone, is I've ordered, and this one's coming on Tuesday as well. Back into there, just whack this on here. Starting to get used to this now. Is a USB microphone with its own little stand, because again, size and space and everything's a premium, and it'll go straight into USB, and it's powered, and it only cost about, what was it, 35 quid? £34.39. So the sound will be improved, the video will be improved with the lighting, the background. It is actually a green screen. I was planning on getting a green screen and the other side of it is blue. But I could probably do with something bigger. I might get rid of the background things altogether and just have some nice plants or something and put a, I don't know, like a logo on the wall or something maybe. I'm not sure. Let's have a look what else we've got then. Yeah, Michael Hootin, I'm back. You had to go and put the chickens to bed. Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, that's the most I wanted to talk to about for my first broadcast, because I'm still getting used to using Streamlabs OBS. I'll tell you what I have had. I don't know whether I can get it round here because there's probably not enough cable on it. But my brother very kindly got me this video editing keyboard for my birthday for Sony Vegas, and I can set loads of hotkeys and things up on it to use on Streamlabs. And it's because it's got colour backlit buttons and whatnot, I can set it all up on there. Right, let's just have a quick look and see if we've got anything else in the comments. Yeah, I've got Patreon set up for anybody that's kind enough to throw a bit of spare change this way, because I'm going to start growing. I'm going to have merchandise available soon as well. Some of it will have the where is it, the Fizzog on it. leffizog. Some of it will have different captions and things, like I've been sticking a few random ideas on t-shirts on Facebook and people have been wanting to buy them, so great. And then I'll do some printed up mugs and other bits and pieces, key rings, that sort of stuff. And then as well, I'm going to be doing things that will be separate for Patreon members, kind of like as a little sort of incentivisation, I suppose. And PayPal I'll be doing as well, which is up there. I haven't put the logo on there yet, but yeah, the Patreon one at Jon Dow Show, that's there. Let's just have a quick look at the comments. Oh yeah, there was a thing that people were batting around on Facebook yesterday, which is all hot air, but it's expected that there might be some sort of blackout, whether it's a media blackout on mainstream media like we're seeing with the American election in Britain, or whether it's to do with social media being blacked out or switched off or whatever if the shit hits the fan. Now there's a couple of things that you can do, and this is the prepper bit. Oh no, John's a prepper. I'm not a prepper. I am. No, I'm not. Right, let's go to a fresh Google so that I can pull it up, and it's called the 333 radio principle. And then I'll just shit it the fan communications. You get yourself a basic UK radio, and I'll pull up one of those as well in a second. If we go onto Amazon, and I'll just go UK 40 channel radio. Moonraker CB radio 79.99. We'll come back to that one in a second. Right, so let's get that one first, and we'll go on to here and go to the browser. Go on to browser number 1. Yeah, browser number 1. So you could get yourself a radio a bit like this one, and it's a walkie-talkie. It's got line of sight range, so that you'll go to the horizon basically. I've got a little Baofeng one that I use when I'm doing droning, because all the venues and other people in drone teams, they all have the same type of walkie-talkies, and they've got 40 common channel frequencies, and you can get them from as little as about 30-40 quid, and the more expensive they are the better. The ones I recommend are the ones that have got a what's it that will come off an antenna, and then it's got like a BNC connector so that you can clonk on a bigger antenna and stick it on the roof of the car, or like we've got out in the garden, we've got a mast that's, oh Christ, 25 metres, 30 metres tall, with two antennas on the top. One's a half size antenna and one's the full length, but that's a different story. So get yourself a 40 channel UK radio like that, and then if the shit really does hit the fan and we've got no ways of communicating, and people are going to put things up about there's a couple of apps that you can get as well. Before I go into that, let's just have a quick look at the app. What was it called? Oh, hang on, my fiance's asking there. This is the live feed video. There we go. Right, where's the app? It's called Status. Let's just load it up. No, it's not very good. Where are we? Status. It is. Where are we? It's this one. There we go. It's that one there. It's the two speech bubbles basically, and you can do all sorts of joining groups, and it's like a encrypted communicator. But anyway, the 333 process that I was on about, if I go back and get the URL instead of prattling about, let's go back over to this one and get rid of all that and do that. Right, this is it. So the 333 principle is basically channel 3 on the radio. It's automatically tuned in, and you turn it on. This is like Apocalypse. This is like The Walking Dead or something, you know. This is like worst case scenario. Channel 3 for 3 minutes every 3 hours, 12, 3, 6 and 9 o'clock. basically, and then you put it on and everybody's on together and it's, is there anybody there, and then you can start communicating. So the 333 principle with a UK 40 channel radio from anywhere from about 30 to 100 quid will get you something decent. Make sure it doesn't have a pull-up antenna. You don't want a telescopic antenna, you want one that's got a little antenna that will pull off on a BNC socket so that you can put a better one on, a bayonet. Right, I think that'll do for the first broadcast, guys. How long's it been? An hour and 20! I'll go get the kettle on. Right, thanks everybody for tuning in. This will end up being a live, a stored video on the channel to be able to see. I'm going to be putting up videos as well as doing live streams. I'll put different bits and pieces up as I come across them. There's a few things on my other channel, Derb JD, which I've put up recently. Let me just go and have a look. There's something I wanted to talk about actually. If you've not seen it, let's go back onto a browser again so that we can stick this in here. There we go. If you've not seen this, this is the Live at Trafalgar Square video that I did on the 26th of September. Let me just interact with this so that I can just turn the sound off for a second. There we go. Yeah, basically what happened was I'd gone down to talk to people and interview as many people as I could for this new channel, and to get interviews with people about what they actually thought was going on and ways around it. And where this footage actually picks up, as you can see, Piers Corbyn had done his talk, David Icke had done his talk, and then the German doctor chap, I keep forgetting his name, sorry, he was talking and he was only about 2 minutes in, and I was actually at the backstage area, and where those people were on the right hand side of the video there, you can see they're standing on something. That's the stage where everyone was talking from, and then that little tent canopy was where the PA and the speakers and the generator and everything was plugged in and covered up from rain. And just a couple of minutes into the German doctor chap talking on stage, people started shouting that the tactical support unit, thugs basically, absolute thugs, the police were, they came smashing in from both sides of the National Art Gallery, piled into people who were just standing talking, men, women, kids, pensioners, people standing there with a little banner or, you know, I don't know, a balloon in the air, whatever, doing nothing, standing, smiling and listening. And the tactical support squad came smashing in with brute force. There's plenty of people filmed it, but I had to grab the camera because I'd stopped filming for a bit because I was going to talk to somebody backstage, and I was actually going to ask them if I could have 5 or 10 minutes on stage to actually say a few things, because there's a couple of things that I wanted to go through that have happened to me during this horrible 2020 lockdown. So the video starts off with chaos starting, and what happens is the police all come flooding in. They go straight to try and nab Piers Corbyn and David Icke and whoever the organisers of the event were, but they had an SAS mob who got them out of there, ex-SAS mob I should say, that were hired to get them straight out of there in some sort of disguise and straight into a car and gone, so that they never got any of them. But they flanked around the stage, they kettled us in for an hour, and they nicked all the PA. So like what you're watching now, this was the tactical support police all flooding round the PA because they confiscated it. And on the way in, they vandalised it as well, and you saw that there was people that had been smashed over the mixing desk. The cables had all been ripped out the back of the mixer, and there was bare wires everywhere from where the microphones and speakers were. And during the sort of first half an hour of this hour-long kettle, they just nicked all the equipment and took it all off. And the only things that people got back were their own bags that had been sort of stored under the mixing desk table. And now I'm sitting there saying we're all just sitting down. I started talking to some of the cops, and I could just tell that there was a few of them that just didn't want to be there, and there was a couple of them who actually shook my hand as well, you know. And whilst they were all sort of get back and aggressive to anyone that was really close to them, I just said to them, I said, look, I'm a normal bloke, I'm not going to fight with anybody, I'm not fit enough for fighting, You know, I'm not stupid either. I says, I'm just a chap, let's have a chat. Anyway, it just ended up going to pot. Let's just have a forward through. So we've got more kettling going on. You can see in the background they're stopping people from getting near the PA and all the equipment and whatnot, and you can see how big the crowds are. And what's going on in the background there as well is just more violence. In between where I am and where you can see the front of the the National Art Gallery was where the woman with the red hair who got pushed off the chair and then pile driven in the stomach by one of the cops who pulled her into them and then pile driven her out of there, and it was disgusting. And then these cops, they're just sort of just doing their job. There's Daz Des, who sings this. That's the German Dr. chap in there. He was standing right behind me for the duration of this hour-long kettle, and I was chatting with him briefly as well, and everything just went to pot. I had a chat with that Daz Nez as well. I had a beef with him a while ago because what he started doing, I mean, I said this to him on the day, you probably make it out in a bit of the video, but Daz is the one that sings "Stick Your New World Order Up Your Arse," this guy here in the hat on the right. He keeps on, or kept on, I don't know whether he does it now, but he kept on doing 2-hour-long lectures on stage talking about flat earth stuff, and flat earthery is absolute nonsense. And the problem with it is that whenever people talk about flat earth, they keep dragging in all the other subjects, so that it makes the outside onlooker think, oh God, well if they believe in this they must believe all that as well, I'm staying out of it. And it just muddies the water of people that are trying to tell truths about certain specific things. And I mean, I said to him during this thing, you know, I said, you shouldn't do it. He's like, yeah, I know. But he's kind of getting his fame from being the one who stands there singing "Stick Your New World Order Up Your Arse." And then as we go through, we've been kettled off down the road and all the PA's being nicked behind, and the rest of it's basically history, chatting with all these cops until they basically let us out. I don't bloody know. Oh yeah, there's that. See that dog in the bottom corner? That's an old staffy, probably about 14 years old, I think they said, and it was in a shopping trolley. Ever so cute. But we've got to do something, guys, you know. It's no good waving flags around and shouting things if people aren't going to act. I mean, just remember back when the Iraq war was going to happen, there was over 1 million people stormed down onto London to protest the Iraq war. This is the biggest fight of our lives, guys. This is the biggest thing that's ever going to happen to us in terms of our normal everyday freedoms being lost, and we've got to do something about it. So I'm going to leave this live stream there, and I'm going to say thank you very much, guys. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll be chipping bits and pieces onto the channel in between live streams. I'm going to get an app set up where I'll be able to do phone-ins as well, so people will just be able to call in. At the moment, the only way I could do it is to have loudspeaker on near the microphone, that's you know, so that it's a bit low tech. But I want to get a thing on the computer screen so that I can put it into OBS's mixer and then actually set the levels properly as well. Right, thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been an hour and a half chit chat. I've ran my mouth off plenty. I need a fresh cup of tea because I'm out, it's gone cold, and I'm going to put my feet up now and enjoy the rest of my evening, and I hope you all do as well. So thank you very much, and don't forget, like, share and subscribe, and if you want to send any pennies towards me to grow the show a bit more, I'll be using any donations for travel and extra equipment if I need it and whatnot. So it's basically patreon.com/Jon Dow Show. Right, I fare you bid well. Good evening. And now I'm looking down to find where the out thing is, and gone. No, I haven't. What's gone on? Oh, there we go. Thanks for watching. You can probably still hear me.